So we'll take a little digression back to talking about climate and human drivers and human dispersals, and start with this figure we have seen already, and then we'll go back to climate again, and then I will make a few more points about how the environmental evidences and things maybe like habitat suitability and the presence of humans as can be reconstructed from evidence have to match in time and space. It's not always the case, so we will look at one paper. I don't know why my computer is doing this, suddenly it goes blank, but that's the gift from HP. Okay, so we looked at this Axel Timmermans paper, which defined habitat suitability based for archaic humans based on temperature, precipitation, humidity, and various other things, and it shows habitat suitability and the windows where the suitability goes high in the southern branch and the northern branch, and looks at the archaic humans. So we are starting here way before the 135,000 year time scale we're talking about, so we'll get back to that quickly. 850 to 600 kilo years ago in Eurasia and Africa, habitat suitability, blue colors, high along here, and then we came along here, low along here, so you still have speciation, species succession of let's say Heidelbergensis, Homo heidelbergensis, splitting off into Denisovans and Neanderthalensis, Neanderthals. So that's 500 to 400 kilo year here, 400 to 300 kilo years ago here, and much more recently, 300 to 200 kilo years ago, we have Homo sapiens, which is what we have been focusing on. And the idea has been that Axel Timmerman, and there are many others like him who are in the school saying climate drove human dispersals and maybe speciation as well. So looking at the summary article of this particular work by Axel, Homo sapiens in Africa 150,000 to 200,000 years ago. In Europe we only found them around 45,000 years ago, and we have discussed why that may be more recent than some other places. Levant, Arabian Peninsula, 120,000 years ago to 90,000 years ago. So keep this in the context of the climate change we've been talking about at these time scales, and this work is from a later work this is the earlier work that Axel Timmerman had done to look at climate impacts on human dispersals as well. So South Asia, Indonesia, and Australia 50,000 years ago, and into North Asia and Americas more recently 20,000 to 15,000 years ago, and we have talked about the potential coastal and interior pathways, the Beringia, the land bridge, and so on and so forth. So again, climate is generally in the background of these discussions, but if you look at climate impacts now, there are lots of papers talking about global warming and migrations, and then there is the science of detection and attribution. So if you found a systematic migration, can you attribute that to global warming signal in terms of droughts, lack of water, sea level rise, crop losses, and so on, or sometimes climate-driven conflicts like the Syrian war is considered a drought-driven conflict. But when you actually want to do detection and attribution, it's not that easy, because climate signal may not be the proximal cause, it may just be an ultimate cause that works through many other pathways. Okay, so there is an Asian perspective given to this as well by this paper here. So it's looking at genetic admixture, Neanderthal admixture with Homo sapiens, Neanderthal Homo sapien admixture with Denisovans. Denisoans came here from a Siberian cave. Homo sapien dispersal routes and later dispersal. So it is splitting the period into pre 60 kiloyear dispersals and post 60 kiloyear dispersals. So you can see that pre 60 kiloyears already there were some early Homo sapiens here, and they moved back towards northern Africa. And 200 kiloyears ago there was this pathway going from eastern Africa. So this is a later dispersal here. This is an earlier dispersal all the way into India, and also all the way into Asia, Southeast Asia, and Australia with 65k, maybe by 45k there at the southern end here. So slightly different from here. So this is older. So this is just again using all the evidences available, still confirms the story that we find the evidence in Europe much later than many of these places here, and that's not necessarily fully explained yet. Okay, back to Axel Timmermann's work. He looked at late Pleistocene human dispersals, snapshots of the simulated evolution of human density, individuals per 100 square kilometer over the past 125,000 years, which is very much the time scale we are looking at in this chapter, using the parameters of scenario A, early exit, and with full climate, orbital and millennial scale, and sea level forcing, and with human adaptation. So various factors are taken into modeling this to estimate model concentrations of humans. So individuals per 100 square kilometers goes to 0 in many places. The Sahara is here, Australia in some periods, and then increases to 28 or greater. So you can see that one has to be obviously aware of potential uncertainties in this, considering all the kind of assumptions that go into this, from climate forcing versus human adaptation to other parameters that are considered reasons, drivers of human parameterization. So start with 125 kiloyears, so a small number here. 120 kiloyear, there is a spreading and maybe slight increase. So at least a shift, if not a spreading. By 110 kiloyear, you are beginning to see increases in number and larger areas being occupied. By 100 kiloyear, significantly large numbers occupying much of central, southern, western, and eastern Africa, and so on. So we have talked about marine isotope stages, stadials, interstadials, Tansker-Dushker events, bipolar seesaw, Heinrich events, and so on. But these are not directly relating at that scale, but it is using full climate and sea level impacts on these dispersals. Okay, so it gives you a sense of how by pre 60k and post 60k the dispersals begin to go. So here you are still in this narrow band of northern Africa, Middle East into India and South Asia. And by 80k and 60k you have spread obviously into parts of Europe with various numbers, low numbers still, but numbers here have increased. By let's say the peak of the last glacial maximum between 30k and 20k, you have already fully populated Africa except in Sahara. During the Holocene, there was lots of dispersals from the Nile River into Western Sahara and back, for example, depending on when the rainfall was abundant and when it was not. So you can see several details here, and of course into the Holocene 10,000 years ago and 1 millennium ago, you can see the colonization all over the place with various densities of Homo sapiens. This is the late Pleistocene human dispersal snapshot of the simulated evolution of human density. Again, individuals for what am I doing here? Oops, sorry. Come on, computer. This is figure, yeah, I don't know why I by mistake included the wrong figure there, but it doesn't matter. So this is another paper that looks at the marine isotope stages. This is again the same paper that looked at the Asian no, sorry, this is the one that argues for why we should consider more environmental evidences. So this is Central Asia annual precipitation. So it's looking at Asian perspective: West Asia, North Asia, Central Asia, East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia, going back to 125,000 years ago. Looking now at Neanderthals, modern humans, Denisovans, and Homo floresiensis, who survived well into the last ice age. This one here in Asia, in Southeast Asia, shows to be terminating at Lianghua in by about 50 to 53,000 years ago. But obviously there is some evidence that suggests that maybe they survived all the way to the more recent times, maybe as late as 18,000 years ago. So you have broken evidences of Neanderthal presence coming here into in West Asia into 50,000 years ago, and in North Asia also to 50,000, and in Central Asia down to more recent times, 30,000 years or so. And of course modern humans are found all the way to the end of the last glaciation, which is what the time scale that's being looked at here all across Asia. Okay, so older evidences of Homo sapiens go back to 125,000 years ago in East and West Asia, not found yet in Southeast Asia and North Asia and Central Asia, but these are bound to change as time goes on. So this again tells you the difficulty in putting together climate signals and signals of fossil evidence and other evidences for presence of various Homo species throughout this period we are looking at from 135,000 years ago to the present. But what is obvious is by the time the last glacial maximum ended and we got into the Holocene, we were the only ones standing. All the others had disappeared. So we'll then go back to some information on regional climates and try to see if we can add little bit more detail to what may have been regional climate drivers. Of course, we still have to remember that there is no evidence that genetically sterile groups evolved independently, in the sense all of the same Homo species could interbreed. So probably there was one origin and then dispersal. There was no speciation that happened by geographical separation so that they became not able to interbreed. And we know that even Homo sapiens and Neanderthals interbred, and most of the Homo sapiens carry Neanderthal genes, and depending on where you are, the amount of the genes also differs, which should give us some idea that maybe the admixing of genes in different places was happening over different times, or happening differently, conflicts or cohabitation. Those things are not fully understood. Okay.